Welcome to the Men's 911 Show. Each week, mental health host experts Sharon Jackson and Tara Evans share their wisdom on how to help men afflicted with female abuse. The mission is to support men who have suffered interpersonal abuse and assault of domestic violence. More than 830,000 men fall victim to domestic violence every year, which means every 37.8 seconds, somewhere in America, a man is battered. Tara and Sharon tell the untold stories of abused men to bring awareness to the changes that need to take place so that men of all ages can receive the support and services they need to reach their potential for a healthy and meaningful life. Tara and Sharon help guide you on your way to improve outcomes for this underserved population. Okay, audience, here is Men 911 with Sharon Jackson and Tara Evans.
Well, welcome to the Men's 911 Show. Today, Sharon and I want to welcome our guests to the show. Today, we are dispelling myths and unmasking the realities of the experiences of children who witness or are the victims of an abusive mother. Daniel is a 26-year-old medical student living in Sweden with his partner of 6 years. He enjoys singing and recreating recipes from shows like MasterChef. Daniel is telling his story to share his experiences and educate about the impact of maternal abuse on children. If you are a victim of abuse, we encourage you to seek help from a mental health professional or contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7237.
Okay, welcome, Daniel. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. First, I want to kind of start off by saying this is a very sensitive topic, but a very important topic. We know that there is domestic violence in families, and we in our programs focusing on mothers and wives, females who are perpetrators, and the children in these family dynamics are also affected, and their voices aren't often heard. But they are affected by witnessing the being abused. So it's so important, Daniel. I don't know of anyone else or any other opportunity to tell your story. So I just want to thank you so much for doing it.
Again, thank you for just giving me this opportunity to share and just really handling these really hard questions that I live with, because I don't have many opportunities to talk about these problems.
Right.
I'm really grateful.
And yeah, thank you. And when we talked previously, we talked about the importance of getting these stories out. Somebody has to do it. When did you first realize that you lived in an abusive household?
Well, it was. I have a vivid memory, and I wasn't really the victim in that moment, but it was that we were having dinner at home, and then my sister and my mother started fighting. And then my mom started to hit her with a plastic plate. And I just remember freezing in that moment and not at all understanding what to do or what was going on. And I think I was 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
But I think that is my most vivid memory as a child, that this is something unexpected happened and I had no idea what to do or how to react.
Right. So it really as early as 4 years old, you have memories of that.
Yeah. And it was, I think it started slow because you're small, and when you're little, you just do whatever your parents tell you. So there's no really any conflicts or confrontations. But as I grew, it slowly happened more often and started to inflict me as well. But the backside of it happening very slowly is that I started to internalize it and normalize the behavior.
Right. Yeah. And can you talk about that normalization? Because that's what most children do. I mean, the abuse just becomes their normal, and they think there's anything wrong with it. Can that normalization? How did that affect you? How did it look?
I think it looks like you're put against the wall with this really threatening situation, and all you want to do is to get out of it. So you don't really put focus on why did this happen, or what's going on in the moment. All I was thinking of, how can I stop it, and then stop it from ever happening again. So all my energy went to just stay down low, keep my mother happy, and as long as that's good, I'm doing something good. But then as the abuse just increased, it just happened so often that it just became part of your everyday life. So it's like this balance of just trying to be keeping her satisfied, and then as soon as she wasn't, just do whatever you can to get out of the situation. And that was just really, you didn't have any other options, really.
Right. What type of abuse did you suffer? Some examples.
It's like the whole package deal, really. It was just, I mean, it started off with like psychological abuse of just being told that you are worth nothing, or I don't know how many times my mom just told me, like, you're not my son anymore, or if you do this, I'm not your mother. And so it started there. Then it just continued with the physical abuse, as well as just being hit for any reason that she deemed worthy of being hit, you know?
Right.
And we're not talking about like normal spanking or stuff. Like, it was actual violence for reasons that there were no reasons, really.
Right. Her rage.
But then as I grew older, it became also like controlling of where I was and what I was doing at all times. She always wanted me to have a GPS on so she could always tell where I was. And just controlling all my social circles and anything that I did.
Right. How would you, like, to what degree would you say the abuse affected your life or continues to affect it today?
Well, it's like I said before, like my tactic was to just keep her pleased, you know?
Right.
And that made me today, I am like, I think I said the same thing last time, I'm like a pathological people pleaser.
Right.
In the sense of, if I feel that someone gets disappointed in me for something, or like that I don't live up to certain expectations, like my whole world just crumbles, and I get really harsh on myself. It's like I've done something extremely wrong, and I know that something really terrible is going to happen if I don't fix it. And I think that is the biggest impact. And that just is really debilitating in my like professional career and with my social relationships. And just the fear of feeling that you can always be rejected, you know?
Right. Exactly. And then your social relationships or your friendships, do you have anybody else who's experienced this that you know of?
No,
Right.
I don't, just my siblings. They're of course friends. We're friends as well as siblings.
Right.
But it doesn't really, all of us have very different experience. So, and all of us prefer not to talk about it because it's so close to home.
Right.
And I think every time we talk about it between us siblings, it's just like, why? It's not so much going through what happened. It's always just continuing blaming ourselves, as in like, why did we let this happen? Like sort of shifting the blame on us.
Right.
And that it's not always helpful, you know.
So Daniel, this is Tara. I have a question.
Yeah,
Hey.
Did the abuse, are you the youngest of the children, and were you the last to start receiving the abuse from your mother?
No, I'm the middle child.
Okay.
I have a younger brother who is 18. He's 18 now. He's 8 years younger than me.
Okay.
And we all, like I said earlier, we all suffered quite different types of abuse and different type of expectations.
Mm-hmm.
My sister was the one who left first, and her, like, she biologically she's my cousin, but she's my sister in every way. But just because of that, a big part of her trauma is that every time she did anything that would upset my mother would go, "I will send you back to this country that you come from." Just having that sword over your head at all times just really does something to someone, and really put like grains of trust issues and things like that. And she of course also suffered the physical abuse and the psychological. And then my brother's story quite different because he hasn't suffered as much physical abuse like I did, and that's because I was the one who sort of put up a fight when I was turning like 12, 13.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And when I say fight, I mean that I told her, you're not allowed to hit me this way. And that sort of just triggered her even more. So she just kept going even stronger. But I think that tired her out a bit. So his abuse is more that, well, it's not abuse. It's more the guilt that he feels that he's the last one to leave her.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's just a really terrible thing to live with. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
How did the abuse, you touched on it a little bit, but how did the abuse in your home affect your relationship with the rest of your family? Like, you talked a little bit, what roles did you all play, or how did the family relationships play out?
I think it's complicated. I mean, I think when we were kids, it both brought us together and also separated us in certain aspects. They brought us together in the sense that we were all victims and could be there for each other from time to time. But then instead of seeing our mother as the villain, sometimes we could blame each other. It's like, oh, why did you have to do that? And just like anger her that way.
Right.
Like, why did you, because of what you said or what you did, now our home is like really, really terrible right now.
Right.
So both like turned us against each other and brought us together depending on the situation.
Right.
And I think what was hard is like, because all we could think about was to like escape the household. So once we did, there was this big space between us, and it took some years to heal that and find each other again, and just know that we do love each other and we want each other in each other's lives.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
And Daniel, I want to talk about your mother and maybe her history as to why you feel that she's abusive. Is this something that she experienced as a child, that this was a norm that was in her family, that she experienced some type of abuse from her parents, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, she did. It was terrible, terrible abuse. It was worse than my abuse, I think. Like both in the level of abuse and what type of abuse.
Okay.
She was the youngest of all the children, and she was also like unwanted, and my grandmother told her that several times. But she comes from like this big, big history of trauma, and I think when I've gone to psychologists when I was younger, they tended to use that as an explanation that she had these patterns of abuse and only knew how to act within those frames.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I see some logic to that. But on the other hand, like me and my siblings, we also come from a home of abuse, and we all just take such a big distance from that type of behavior.
Exactly.
And I think
Right,
that's because
exactly.
We've had, yeah, and I think so. It might be. I think it's multifactorial. Like both my mom's mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe she didn't have anyone else, any other grown up in her surroundings. Because I've had my grandparents, my paternal grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
who've always been there for me, and that's really helped me a lot.
And I want to be clear on
It
this.
always baffles me.
I want to be clear that I'm not giving your mother a pass at any means, but I do want to make sure that, I want people to understand that abuse sometimes
Mhm.
comes from our history, and it's a learned behavior that we have learned, but in no means is it ever acceptable. Or
Yeah.
is it a pass to abuse your own children? That's not what we do here on the Men's 911 show. So I wanted to make that clear.
Yeah.
That
Right.
your abuse is validated.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree with you and understand. But that also that really scares me sometimes. The thought of that patterns of abuse can come up again, because when I think of my future and if I would ever have children, most of the time I feel comfortable with being a father figure, just feel that I'm loving and I take care of all my friends and my family close to me, and I am a loving person, but just the thought, just knowing that my mom had the exact same intentions. She told me that as growing up. She always told me I was beaten so bad at home, and all I ever wanted was to be the complete opposite once I was a mother.
Right.
So that is what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So she treated us this way, and that also it is scary, and that's why I think people need help who have been victims this way too.
Yes.
Yes.
To just strengthen, to be strong in yourself, and not think that you're going to be the same person as them, and just rather grow from your abuse rather than to take after it.
And when you say
That's
that,
something that I think about a lot.
Yes.
Daniel, when you say that, how do you think that, as human professionals, how can we assist other children who've been victims of abuse overcome their fears? Because I don't think that there's really a model, for us to help children who are victims of this type of abuse. I've never heard anyone say what you just said, that I'm scared of being my mother or my father.
Yeah.
And so I really want you to speak on that if you can, because, this is a time where we can actually do something to help and maybe come up with some type of program where we can actually help heal, and get rid of the fear that you're feeling, because, this is real.
Yeah, it is. And if I'm honest with you, up until the point that I had my conversation with Sharon last week, I have never really had any framework or help that actually tackled all these questions. Like I've been to therapists and I've gone to and talked about my problems, but truly just to talk with Sharon and just share my experience with someone who understands, it was so different. Like for me, it was very easy to compare. If I talk to a psychologist or even just a friend who is there for you, they love you and they want to support you, what I'm doing is that I'm like really digging in all those memories that I've worked so hard to just suppress and keep down, and I have to bring them up again, and it hurts, and it's hard to even have a straight conversation, because you have all these memories that just I've really fought hard to forget them.
Yes.
But when you talk to someone who knows what you've been through because they've been through it themselves, it's a conversation.
Yes.
Like I tell one story and it triggers a memory for them, and then they tell me something back, and that triggers something for me. So
Yes.
it's a passive recollection of my trauma that isn't hard or makes me feel extremely sad for the whole day or week after. And that was amazing. Like just to talk to someone who knows what you've been through and reflect yourself in their stories.
Yes.
It was
Absolutely. And
so something like that, a support group where we can just gather and understand that all of this is real and that we're not alone in it.
And
that is something that I need, and I think more do.
And I think, and it goes back to, and we haven't talked how this is an international problem, how we've really denied that females can be violent and that mothers abuse their children and their husbands and their partners. Women do this. So it's really been ignored by the clinical community, and you're going to become a doctor, medical doctors, they don't think that women can be abusive. And so that's why, our stories have gone ignored, treatment's gone ignored. And the only way people can, and it's happening, but it's very real and it's happening. So we do need more treatment models. We need more awareness, and we need more support groups of other people who've been through it. And like you explaining it, you're just helping so much other people who've experienced, maternal abuse, that they couldn't even talk about it. I mean, it was literally denied for the last 40, 50 years that it's even an issue. It's a real tragedy, but we do have to change the narrative, and work to improve it.
I agree.
Audience, this is a reminder that you are listening to the Men's 911 show, coming to you on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on KWRH 92.9 FM and KXOK 102.9 FM simulcasting and on the My Genre Radio Network Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Yeah. Daniel, how did you try to protect yourself from the abuse?
Well, apart from what I've already mentioned, to just like always, in the back of your head, you always think there will be something at home waiting for you that's awful. So just having that constant stress level on was taxing, but was the thing that like helped you survive Monday to Sunday, just walking on toes. But then I tried to reach out to people that do love me and showed me another framework of parenthood. And not everyone has that, unfortunately, but I was very lucky to have my paternal grandparents. Unfortunately, they were working in different countries in Africa, so they were very far away, but that was my lifeline, to talk to them and be with them. But unfortunately, my mother found out about this, and she completely prohibited any contact with them. Because she was, I don't know her exact reasons, but she didn't want me to talk to them at all because they were my safe line. So they gave me a secret phone, like a secret phone, so we could talk, like text or call.
Right.
But then I had it for like a month maybe, and then one day I forgot it in my jacket pocket, and my mom found it because she used to go through all my things.
Oh gosh.
And then she like smashed it with a hammer, like right in front of me, and then continued to hit me. But just like all those really some symbolic things of like, you don't have any power to do anything. I will break anything you have.
Right.
So that was hard. Now I went away from the point of how I protected myself. But that was what I did. I tried to not be at home as much as I could. So I was a lot at the library or studied or, but it was hard, because she didn't let me be with friends. So I didn't have any natural social situations to go to.
Right.
And she also made sure that I wouldn't be invited to these things, because I would ask for permission a couple of days ahead, and she would say yes. And then maybe half an hour before, she would come up with some reason, either that I cleaned the kitchen it took me too long to clean the kitchen or something weird, and then she wouldn't let me go. And then after 3-4 times, people stopped inviting me because they just knew Daniel would never show up. And that was also a tactic just to keep me isolated. And
yes. Yeah. The isolation and the control. And I'm sure she saw your grandparents as a threat to her.
Yes. Yeah. I'm also very sure of that.
Yeah, that's true. How was your relationship with your father?
That's well, it was complicated, as you can guess. I think the strangest part was that the arc was like this. My father is quite a large, strong, tall man, and that figure, you think that this is going to be someone who can protect you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I was not. Me and my siblings were not the only victims of this abuse. My dad was horrendously abused by my mother, so he was broken down.
Yes.
But as a child, I didn't understand that, so I just got very, very sad and hurt that my father would just watch as my mother would hit me or abuse me in any form. So it started there, just being this big disappointment and anger for him not being able to protect me. But then as I grew, I think around 12, 13, 14 years of age, I was the one who stepped in instead, because my mom could threaten my dad with knives or frying pans or anything she could grab hold of. And there were so many times where I just had to walk in between them. And it was just this cognitive dissonance of other who you feel that he's the one to protect, but he can't. And I, as his kid, is going to protect him. And that also just really infested my view of this family is dysfunctional. It's not I'm protecting my parents from my abusive mother, and that was also just an eye opener. And then as I left and I fled my home when I was 19, it took a couple of years before that could escape as well. And then we started to talk again, and it just hit me that this was the first time ever that I ever got to know who my dad was as a person. Like, what are his interests? What makes him laugh? What makes him sad? Like, what type of foods and things are his favorites? All those things. I had no idea because my dad was not allowed to have any favorites or friends or anything. So it was like getting to know my father for the first time in my adulthood. And I'm so happy that I have that now. And our relationship is so much better now than it's ever been. But it was just so, like, it was so evident, like, how one person can ruin the lives of so many others. And even to the point that a child and his father just don't know each other, even though they lived in the same household for almost 20 years.
Right.
Well, and so do you believe the abuse was going on in the household before you guys were born? Between
Yes.
your mom and dad,
There
he
were.
was being abused?
Yes, and I've also heard stories from my grandparents, and just that it was always like that from the beginning. My grandparents told my dad that it was not a good idea to be with my mom and get married to her. And of course they were right, but on the other hand, I wouldn't have existed. So
Right.
I'm biased.
Right. Of course.
But it's no, but jokes aside, it's I think she was abusive from the start. Maybe not as abusive, because the longer it gets, like for each new abusive thing that happens, the line is pushed even further. So it's just like this escalation of different types of abuse. So it definitely got worse over the time, but it was there from the beginning.
Right.
Wow. So, okay, audience, it's time to take a short break. So we will be right back after these brief announcements.
Thank you.
Do you want to become a radio show host, or do you want to create a radio show? Well, Dr. Stan Fine can help you to have your own radio show and put you on 100 cities daily across the U.S. And you can immediately start recording from a live radio studio. As a radio industry veteran, Dr. Stan Fine has 12 years of experience and has produced and hosted over 1,000 radio shows with over 10 million listeners. Dr. Stan Fine knows how to make this happen for you. He's a pro, and he can turn your dreams into a reality. Dr. Stan Fine will help you with everything from learning how to promote your show, develop a host persona, interview techniques, market your show on social media, teach you how to get guests and sponsors, and more. Dr. Stan Fine can put you on the air nationwide daily to 100 cities. If you're interested in making your dream come true, if you want to see how it all works, then give Dr. Stan Fine a call at 314-710-8413. That's 314-710-8413. You've got nothing to lose, and Dr. Stan Fine can help make your nationwide radio dreams come true. If you're looking for a new informative health and lifestyle show to gain knowledge and inspiration to help guide your journey to think, work, and live more powerfully, then you need to listen to Sage Advice with Melissa. Now, whether you're trying to improve your life from a mental, physical, or spiritual journey, Sage Advice with Melissa Coleman, CEO of Sage Skincare, delivers weekly advice from industry experts to provide you with insightful suggestions to allow you to thrive with a better quality of life. Melissa's mission: to guide you through the uncharted waters of health and wellness and to give you a voice to help improve your life. So be sure to tune in to Melissa. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, listeners, saying thanks to your customers is nice and polite, but expressing your gratitude in memorable and ongoing ways can boost your business. At Promo Experts LLC, we exceed our customers' expectations. For over 20 years, our product knowledge and experience has helped them with their marketing initiatives and trade show graphics. We are happy to put that experience to work for you. Quality products, great customer service, and prices are our number one priority. We work with you to find unique, creative, and new ideas that fit your image and expectations, helping you build strong relationships with your customers. When you select Promo Experts as your marketing partner, we help you to see more than the big picture. For more information about this exciting opportunity, contact Diane Carson, President, at 636-458-5241. That's 636-458-5241. Let Promo Experts help you to move your business brand beyond the bland. Have you always wanted to write your own book but don't know where to start? Publishing Concepts, a publishing company located right here in St. Louis, offers everything from consulting, book printing, copyrights, ISBNs and barcodes, print book layout, ebook and iBook layout, graphic design, cover design, ghostwriting, typing and editing, distribution, marketing, and more for an affordable price. Visit publishingconceptsllc.com or just Google Publishing Concepts to get started today, or call 314-781-8880. That's 314-781-8880. Publishing Concepts. We help you sell more books.
In today's economy, there are more people looking to buy and sell businesses than ever before. When a company owner needs to sell their business, they can't just stick a for sale sign in the window. They need the assistance of a business broker to locate and vet potential buyers. On the other side, buyers rely on the broker to help facilitate the process of evaluating potential businesses and franchises for sale. A Transworld Business Advisor is the solution for both scenarios. Transworld Business Advisors focus on three core concepts: business brokerage, franchise consulting, and franchise development. Transworld has specialized in the sale of business and commercial real estate. Today, Transworld Business Advisors is a global network of brokers offering a turnkey solution for those that want to build a solid business and future for themselves while maintaining a balanced quality of life. With our comprehensive training program, full marketing support, and local field support, you won't have to start from scratch. Our trained experts and members will help you every step of the way. Transworld Business Advisors has 40 plus years of experience, 10,000 plus businesses sold, and 600 plus brokers, 250 offices worldwide. For a free initial consultation, call Charlie Scarlett, business broker, or Billy Rowland, business broker, at 636-400-6100. Again, that's Charlie Scarlett, business broker, or Billy Rowland, business broker, at 636-400-6100.
Many small businesses do not have a marketing manager. In many cases, it is the company owner that drives marketing and sales efforts with the gut instinct to survive. Even when small businesses do have a marketing manager, though, many of them are trying to navigate through the complex sales and marketing landscape with little to no success or budget.
How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money is a general purpose how-to business book written for business owners and marketing professionals by business owners Dr. Stan Fine and Joseph W. Clote. This guide is not intended to be read as a front-to-back chapter book and rather serves as a quick reference guide. Refer to this book as you need specific information and skip around as needed.
Promoting your business with limited money is one challenging feat, but there are unlimited ideas you can apply to achieve objectives you pre-establish. So put on your marketing hat and let's take action to start showing your prospects the value your business delivers.
A little you need to know about Dr. Stan Fine. During his 60-year career, Dr. Fine has become an authority on sales and marketing business development issues. His presentations have made him much in demand as a speaker and seminar leader. He has taught business development topics at numerous universities across the United States and has conducted over 500 sales and management seminars. Some of Dr. Fine's credentials in corporate America are currently: Dr. Fine serves as a co-host of the To Your Business radio show on KRH 92.9 FM in St. Louis and a co-host of Nationwide Daily Radio Show on my Genre Radio Network on the Zeno Media platform. In 100 cities, he is also on a daily TV show on the Valuable TV and the Real TV networks. Go and get a copy of How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money today.
To purchase your copy of How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money, go to It's Your Business website at www.itsyourbusinessradio.com.
Welcome back, audience. You are listening to the Men's 911 Show. In today's society, approximately 1 in 8 men will experience domestic violence in the form of psychological trauma, physical violence, and or stalking by a female partner. The mission of the Men's 911 Show is to bring awareness and education and provide resources and tools to support men so they can experience healthy lifestyles and nurturing relationships that reinforces responsible manhood and preservation of families. If you are a victim of male domestic violence, we encourage you to contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. For more information about the Men's 911 Show, please email us at mens911show@coverthefamily.org. To learn more about our programs or to donate, please visit our website at www.coverthefamily.org. Now, back to the Men's 911 Show.
Hi, Daniel. Are you there? You bet.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi. Yeah, we were
Hi.
kind of left off talking about your relationship with your father. Did your dad ever try to get help?
He did. He did a couple times, I think, while growing up. I know for a fact that he went to the police once and tried to get help, and he told them what happened. And I think, like, one of the first questions they asked him was like, "But what did you do first?
Right.
Like,
Yes.
what did you do for this to happen to you?"
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he's also tried like different type of organizations that are supposed to help victims of abuse within the family, but those are usually focused on women. So they said that they couldn't help him, or like they weren't prepared for it, or they just couldn't let him in. And then other times my mother just stopped him after she had him. They've had a fight, and we torn his arms apart by with her nails and other things. And she said, "If you go to the police or anywhere, I will hurt myself and tell them that you hit me first. And who do you think they'll believe?" So that really just stopped him from pursuing any help many times.
Yeah, that's a common tactic that we hear all the time from men who experience that this threatening that you won't be believed, and or they will hurt themselves, punch their own selves, or cut themselves and say their spouse or partner did it. Yeah, very vicious. And the other thing in this piece to all this, Daniel, is that when your dad was getting help, nobody stopped to say, "Well, what about the children?" Right? I mean, they focus when you have a female victim, they're always looking at, are there children in the home, but as well as men being denied the children too, because it's just a true injustice. We've just got to change it. Did you ever try to get help?
It's just.
Oh, go ahead, Daniel.
I did. No, I've tried as well as my dad did, and just something that I've been carrying a lot this later years in my 20s is that if my dad if he had gotten help, not only would he be able to escape his abuse with we kids, we could have saved so many years of abuse, because my abuse really started to get really bad when I turned 12, or it was between 12 and 19.
Right.
And when I tried to get help, and that would be either to just the few times my grandparents would be in Sweden, I would run to their place or call them in panic, and they would pick me up somewhere along a highway or something, or just go to a friend. When I did that, my mom would just put all of my belongings in what do you call those, big black trash bags, and just throw them out of the house. She did that 3 times. And so that sort of also, it just kept me from going anywhere, especially when I was in high school, because there's nothing I could do. And it was just hard. I didn't really know where to turn or do. I just felt that just get through high school, and hopefully things either will change or you can try to escape once you're 19 or 20.
Right.
Did
it
you,
was just really hard.
Daniel, did you ever report anything to your school counselor, or was there a social worker at the school that you could speak with, or did you just not say anything?
I did talk to my school counselor,
Okay.
and they started the process with the social services after a while, but it was just so extremely slow. Like it could go, like we're talking like months before anything actually happened. If they or the social workers started to bring up the possibility that they would put us in foster care or foster homes. So I remember, especially as a teenager, I sort of lost any faith or confidence with the social workers. So I sort of turned my back on them and just, okay, you know what, I'm just going to fix this myself. And so it was very slow. And my brother has another story with this, because my father divorced my mother a couple of years ago when he was still 14, and he did end up in the foster care system.
Oh my goodness.
And that in itself is also just a really hard system to grow up in. I think he moved between 7 households before turning 18.
So why was your dad not an option for your brother to stay with?
He was so broken down.
Yeah.
For over 25 years, he had like been the worst victim of all 4 of us in the family. He was the one that he was nothing for my mother, and she made sure that he knew it. So once he got out, he had no idea who he was as a father, as a man, or a person. So that wasn't an option. And then also just his living situation wasn't appropriate for a child either. It was like, because there's also a thing when there is no structure for you as a victim to get help in society, there's no one that picks you up once you escape. So there was no like help with housing or with work, or so he had no means to really have an apartment where he could stay with my brother. And that's a big consequence when you as a victim, it's just when you're just forgotten because you belong to a smaller group of victims. Like we're all still here, but just because the group is slightly smaller, you tend to be forgotten.
Right. And I think that the mental state of your father is just typical of what these women do. Their whole goal is to isolate, emasculate the man, totally break down his identity, just totally try to control him so he loses his sense of who he is. And he's just on survival mode, right? I mean, they just attack. And people don't understand how serious that is, this emasculation and how men lose an identity. And that's why we have high suicide rates of men, why men are angry and they act out. People always think of men as, violent, but we need to stop and say, why is that man angry? Why is he acting out? Why are they killing each other? Because we need to think deeper and look harder and see what's really behind what's going on with our men.
We have a male crisis. It's a global male crisis.
Yes.
And I think it's important that we continue to have these conversations, so people are aware of what's going on. There's an issue with men. And if we don't put resources into men, we're going to have a worse problem that we already have right now. And so I just want to thank you, Daniel, for coming on here and sharing your story, because it really needs to be heard, and it's heartbreaking. But you are persevering through all of this. And I want to continue to encourage you to keep moving forward. You are not your mother, and I know that you're afraid, but you are not your mother, and I don't want you to ever think that there's a possibility that you could be, because you're not. You know, you've overcome so many different things, and I'm not going to keep talking because Sharon has other questions for you.
No.
But you know, I'm about to start preaching. But I really want you to stay encouraged, because you know you've been through a lot, but even in the midst of this, you continue to say no, that's not acceptable. Even though
Right.
she put your clothes
Exactly.
out and did all these mean things, you continue to defy what
Yes.
she was trying to do. You supported your father. You know,
Yes.
you took the brunt for your siblings. And
Yes.
so, you know, you you are here for a reason. You're an advocate, and I want you to continue to keep moving and to keep talking about this, because there's healing in it, first of all,
Yes.
but you're going to allow someone else to heal in the process.
Right. Absolutely.
Thank you, Tara.
Yes.
It really means a lot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How Dan, how is your relationship with your mother today?
It is non-existent in a sense. I chose not to. I chose not to have a relationship with her a couple years ago, and that was after trying 3 or 4 times to just restart. And every time I tried, I said, "Okay, everything that's happened, let's put that behind us, and let's just try and start anew." And it would just never work, and she would just go back to the same patterns again.
Right.
So, but what's really important, and that I want to say, is that what I think we children who have had an abusive mother like this, what we live with after the abuse is guilt and shame.
Yes.
Like, logically, I can understand that everything she did was wrong, and I am lucky to have gone out of it and be on the better side of it now in my adulthood. But you easily forget all the bad things that happened, and you start missing your mom.
Exactly.
I want to have a mom. I want to see her every week and talk to her on the phone every other day, and it makes me miss her. And I know that she is out. I mean, my city here in Sweden is not very big, and I know she's somewhere here, and I just struggle with that every day, and I can't reconcile that with all the bad things that she did. Like, I think I used that word wrong, but you understand what I mean?
Oh no, that's
my
your
heart is
mother.
that I just miss her.
You're always going to have that bond with her. You know, you were the first person, you know, she carried you for 9 months. So that bond will never be broken. And don't feel ashamed that you miss your mother. That is your mother, regardless of how mean she is, abusive, that is still your mother. And you are absolutely able to miss her and want to have a relationship with her. And don't feel guilty about that, because that's normal, right? That's just a normal behavior. We can't help that her behaviors are so severe that you can't have this type of relationship with her. So I don't ever want you to, you know, be feel guilty about still wanting to be with her because she was this person who was not being a good mother. You know, that's not what we're talking about. You still have every right to have feelings, good feelings, and wanting to have a relationship with your mother. So no, don't feel guilty about that. You accept that and you embrace that, but you also understand that you made the choice to not have that relationship with her because you don't want to be in a toxic relationship. And so that's, you know, you have to find balance in that, and you will.
Right.
And
you will.
And I think that's something I will. But the also, my point is that I think I need help, and I think a lot of kids need help with that. Because when I tell this to like my friends or my partner or anything, they can very often just say that, but why do you feel this way? Like, why are you crazy? Like, she's such a terrible person. Like, why do you feel this way? And I think that the guilt that I carry is more like that I feel that she is my mother, and in a sense I am responsible for her, or will be when she gets older, and just like living in that balance of knowing that I'm doing something good for me and my future family and my friend, and to protect myself from her. But at the same time, it's just a really hard thing to do emotionally. And that's where we need the support, and where
Yes.
like a support group is needed, where you can just share that burden with someone and make it a little lighter.
And I think when we were talking, Danielle, it's almost like to survive this, a child has a a God-given right to have a mother, and because a mother gave you birth.
Yeah.
But when you have a mother who does not connect to you maternally, does not have maternal instincts, is not going to be a mother to you the way that you need or should be, we have to grieve that. We have to say, I'm not going to get what I deserve as a mother, and I can't keep running after it because she's not capable of it. So you grieve that expectation, and then you can see her in a different light. Then you just see her differently, but you have to go, and it's grieving a living mother is what it's like. And then after you realize she's just not capable of giving you what you deserve, then you can see her differently and your relationship can change. But if you don't do that, you're just going to keep running after what you should have gotten and you're never going to get. And that's what people who have abusive mothers understand, and that's what they're struggling with. Where do I place her? What do I do with her? She's, I deserve a mother. Yes, I deserve a loving mother, but she's not capable, so I have to place her in my life some way. And that's really the work, the struggle of everything.
So Daniel, do you know if your mother received any counseling or anything?
No, I don't think she did. I think she was recommended to go, but she always felt that she didn't need it or had the necessity. Like even when I had moved out and I tried to have a relationship with her, and I said we can put everything behind us, but I would just really appreciate if we could either go together or you can go yourself to have therapy. And she would just say no, and that's also a big part of these abusers, that they don't have the insight that they're doing something wrong many times. She, when I did confront her, and even when I said I will put everything behind me, she's like, what do you need to put behind?
Right. She didn't do anything.
Right. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I don't understand what you're blaming me for here.
Right.
And there's just that lack of insight. It's just this really big wall that can be really hard for them to climb, and just sometimes they just can't. And in my case, my mom, for so many years, has shown that she is incapable of trying to work on her problems or even willingness to do so.
Right.
Daniel, do you have a relationship with your grandparents on her side of the family, or any kind of family members on your mom's side of the family?
I do. I have some few with my cousins.
Okay.
And but not my maternal grandmother. I don't really. She wasn't really a great person either.
Okay.
Right.
But it's I don't really have
not
much contact
surprising
with her either. But my cousins and all of them, but they're all living in Colombia, so it's
okay.
It's far away.
Right.
Okay.
If you, Daniel, what would you say if you could go back to young Daniel and talk to him? What would you say to him?
If that conversation wouldn't change a single thing in my life, play out just as it has, I think it will get better. And I think that a lot of people say that, I think, when they've been through abuse, but it will get better as long as you recognize the patterns of a toxic relationship, see the warning flags and signs, and just understand that it's not worth it, and just turn your attention to the people around you who do care about you, and be there with them, because I've wasted so many years of just trying to please my mom, and just still getting punished for it.
Right.
But just keep looking for those stars out there who just are really taking care of you and give your love there. every person has so much love to give. You just have to give it to the right person who will give it back to you.
Right. Right.
So, Daniel, if you had words of encouragement for other children who are experiencing abuse from a mother, what would you say to them today?
I would say, I mean, of course, that they're not alone in this, even though we can feel that way, especially if you have other friends that are just seem to have normal families. But most of all, that it's like you as a child, you are not doing anything wrong. It's so easy to shift the blame on yourself. Just you. I don't know. It's what I want to say is just like try to find someone who knows what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
But that's so hard, and that's also the final point that I want to up is that we need that. We need those structures so we can assemble in numbers. Because if we, the stronger our voice together is, the harder it is for society to ignore us or pretend that we don't exist just because our abusers, our mothers, or any other female, like we're all real, and we just need to stick together, and in that way, maybe some change can come.
Right. And we're going to do that, Daniel. You and I, we're going to, create support. I don't know how it's going to look, but something online that we can have a format for children, particularly adult children, to reach out and just have support and some understanding. Just somebody gets it. And really the professionals. Yeah. I would just, our police officials, our doctors, our nurses, our educators, that they open their eyes and see when they look at that child that it's not just dad who's abusers. The mother could be abusing that child. Keep your mind open that we're just so tunnel vision when it comes to domestic violence. We just have to change that. And it's been going on for too long. It's always what I say. We have to make some changes.
Yeah. I agree.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, Daniel, again, I thank you so much for being on the show today. I know it took a lot of courage for you to come on and share your story, but we are so grateful that you're here today. And I know that you have touched someone who's listening to the Men's 911 show. And I hope that it empowers them to do something about maybe the situation that they're in. If there's a man like your father out there and their children involved, I just pray that your interview today really empowered them to say, enough is enough. Let me do something to get my children, out of this situation. If not for him, at least for the children. So I thank you today for being on the show.
Yes, I do too, Daniel. Thank you so much. So much.
Thank you so much for having me on. It really means the world to me.
Okay. Well, audience, it is that time again when we wrap up this week's show. As a reminder, our goal is to not only help male victims, but also men find a path to save their lives and restore their identities as leaders, providers, and protectors in their families and communities. We want to thank our guest, Daniel, for being on the show. A reminder, if you are a victim of domestic violence, please reach out for help. You can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800. It's not on this page.
Oh.
Thank you, Sharon. At 1-800-799-7237. That's the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7237. A reminder that we will join you again next Wednesday at 3 p.m. here on KWRH 92.9 FM and KXOK 102.9 FM and nationwide on the My Genre Radio Network, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Stay safe and have a blessed week.